Summer of SocialBots was intended to be a follow-on from last year's Summer of Tick 80. 6, although we ended up making it 7 once again, weeks of working on robotics that were supposed to have some sort of social interaction. There were 6 people there. I thought there was going to be 4 people here to talk about it, but so far 2 of them are missing. So we'll see if they get added at the last minute or not. And so I think it was overall a pretty good time. I apologize for how rough I'm being, but in the last 2 weeks, my schedule went to pieces and I had to put a stop to prepare any preparation for this. But I think it was well, I mean, while we see if somebody else comes, why don't I turn this over to Jeremy and let him talk about your experience?
Fancy, I get a microphone. So, woohoo! So yeah, I'm Jeremy. This is my kid's Kinderbot that I modified. Also, before I get into this, because I'm sure I'll just go way down into the details that no one wants to know about, but the Make 717 place that we were at was really cool. You guys should all check that out if you like making stuff in general. Never been there before this, and I was like, I have to come here more because it was super sweet.
Use their space for this. It was really nice to be able to meet someplace where there would be tools and stuff for everyone.
Definitely. All right, so my plan with the Kinderbot was just to make something that would be fun to talk to and you could interact with and it would joke around with you, mainly using AI because getting something on a chip that would do that was going to be complicated. So overall, I succeeded, but there's a lot of components to it. I tried initially to reprogram the board that came with it. That failed. You have to reprogram
You made it.
controllers and everything.
Nice. Come on.
I learned a lot though doing.
Can I do anything for you?
Really cool. I didn't suggest anything for the summer.
Jeremy's talking now.
But the makeup of this is basically, we've got the original motors for the wheels. We've got the original speaker, which was a huge pain in the butt to reuse. I have a microphone that I put in there. I'm reusing the batteries for some power for the motors and some other things. And then I added a ESP32 motor controller, a mic or a speaker amplifier, and a Raspberry Pi, which is doing all of the fun stuff with AI. And it's not ideal, but it does work. So I'll give you a short demonstration on it. It's super slow. That's the biggest problem, is like I'm going to talk to it and we're going to be staring at each other for like 20 seconds in silence, and then it'll talk. So be prepared for that awkward silence that we all love. Hey, Kinderbot, tell us a joke. I think it got my speech. But now we're waiting. I forgot to turn it on. Hold on. that helps.
I told my wife she was right around July. She looked surprised.
I'll hold the microphone up to it next time. Sorry. You tell us a joke. All right, I got it that time. Yep.
Next time I hold the microphone. It's not ego, it's crowd control for punchlines that keep running off.
Yeah. So the speaker is really terrible. Speech text or text to speech is also hard to get a really good voice. That's just a model, not
I told my
things.
wife she wasn't really her eyebrows too high. She looked surprised.
That's its go-to backup. Is I told my wife she was growing her eyebrows too big, and she looked surprised. So not a bad one, but that's pretty much where it's at. There's a lot of modifications that I'd like to do to it to make it a lot better and faster and more personable. But I'm amazed that I got it to work, and it was really fun.
Do you have any electronics experience when you started this?
My eyebrows were nothing to me, and she looked surprised that I very comfortable with me.
So I know it wasn't easy, but was it approachable to get into it?
Yeah. There were a lot of parts that I ordered that were wrong. So that was a challenge. I had to, of course, use AI to help me figure stuff out. But and also AI is not great all the time if you don't prompt it right and you're upset it didn't work. So it was good. I learned a lot. I soldered more than I ever had, and it was great.
I think what you have is really cool, and it's certainly doing a lot more than it did 3-4 weeks ago. Last time I saw it. So I can see that Matt is here. I don't know how far he is on getting ready, so I will try to bury my stuff in the middle. So I gave a fair amount of advice, such as start small, find a toy or something to hack apart, cut goals ruthlessly. You can always try to add them back later. And then I did a terrible job at following my own advice, and I kept thinking I would be able to pull things together. And so I spent a lot of time, instead of just hacking something together, trying to 3D print parts. Bad idea. Should have just gotten some styrofoam and a knife and gluing things. And eventually I realized, hey, there's no way I'm going to be able to actually make this 3D printed stuff move like I wanted. I really wanted something that would move, not just show a face on a screen, which I had working at one point. And I probably could have gotten that working again, but as I said, my schedule really went to pieces in the last 2 weeks. So then, finally sort of taking my own advice, I thought, hey, let's buy something that moves, that I can reasonably have an idea that I can control, and work on what sort of expressions I can get just out of moving this. And so I made some progress on that, but I hadn't given up on the screen with the eyes. And so last week I finally got to the point where I had something mounted on it and found it completely overwhelmed it. Just having that little screen I showed earlier was too much weight, and this thing wouldn't do anything with it attached. So then I was like, well, now what can I cut to still pull something out of this? And then I was like, well, I can just have it move. I should still be able to do some speech stuff because I had that working. And so I was sitting down to work on it. Despite the schedule stuff, I managed to carve out some time, and then lightning struck on Tuesday and took out an internet connection. So I couldn't really do anything practically on it then. And I still harbored dreams of doing more tomorrow, but halfway through the day, it's like I'm going to have to give up and hope I can find time to make a presentation instead. And then I didn't really have time for that either. So I didn't follow my own advice. If I would have just skipped straight to the camera and said forget the screen, or stuck with the screen and said forget motion, we would have been in a better place. So I did not. So yeah, I should have taken my own advice. I saw a question here. Oh, that is supposed to be a remote controlled camera. I got it off of eBay for 18 bucks. It has a serial control port. The camera part works, but by the time I was getting into it, I was giving up on having any sort of machine vision stuff. Yeah, that is a Sony. So then I believe somebody had a hand raised over here too. To put the screen on the side? Maybe. But at that point, it was clearly time to cut harder and not try to keep pushing forward the way I'd been going.
When you had the screen working, what were you doing with it?
So I was just drawing two like eyes, and they could like squish, raise it kind of, not like an eyebrow, but like one-eyed, one closed, look around a little bit. I didn't really have it interacting with the voice in any meaningful way, but it still would have added character to it. So I'll probably try to revive something at some point, but at this point, I'm kind of looking forward to moving on, so it's probably going to get put aside, and sometime I'll start all over. Yes, Grant?
What was your animation of the eyes? Was it like hand-drawn, or was it like vector or digital?
So it was a bunch of squares and circles to make kind of a squarish, round, like a squircle shape that could be moved around. Somebody made a library called RoboEyes, which I did not use, but I kind of copied their methods into Python to run that. So anyway, so at this point, I will hand it over to Matt.
All right, can you hear me? Is this thing working? Yes, no? Okay. All right.
Speak up if you can, Matt.
Huh?
Speak up if you can.
All right. So, yes. So this is a Roomba that I have had lying around for like 7 years in my closet that I swore I would like do something with one day. And so this, summer of SocialBots came up and I got pretty excited. I was like, yes, I'm finally going to reprogram that Roomba that's been sitting around. And I had really no idea what that would involve. So it was pretty painful. So this was like a Roomba, I want to say 980, which is like a fairly recent model, but it didn't have the like self-emptying canister. So I found it really unhelpful, and it was relegated to the closet, and it's been replaced by a Shark that's still running. But the issue with it being a later model is they were designed to run on Wi-Fi, and they kind of locked down all of the software with that update. And so you can't really do much with the like existing circuit board and all of the sort of software that's on it already. Some people found some really interesting ways of hacking that to basically like get the login like password to kind of do some really basic things, but you could only send it like to a room to like vacuum is kind of like all you could do. You couldn't actually control like the wheels or do anything all that interesting. So after a fair amount of time, I ended up going on YouTube, of course, and I found some guy who's like, hack your Roomba, just take the motherboard out. So that's what I did. I took it apart, ended up basically removing all of the innards, the PCB, basically anything that did any logic for this. So I was left with just a shell with a bunch of sensors and 2 motors that couldn't do anything. I didn't really know what I wanted this thing to do at any point. I just wanted to be able to control it. So initially I went and purchased a Raspberry Pi 5, which was a new thing for me. I'd heard about them for years. I'm not like a software guy by background. I'm a family doctor who likes to do computer stuff. So this seemed pretty exciting to me, just FYI. So bought a Raspberry Pi 5, hadn't really used Linux before, so there was a learning curve for that. was looking at ROS, like the robot operating system, which is really complicated, and I couldn't get it to run on the Pi 5. Like it wanted me to compile from scratch, and I was like, I'm not doing that. There was a lot of Chat GPT like trying to cheat that kind of like led me astray most of the time. So there was a lot of wasted time. But at the end of the day, was able to get the Pi 5 through the GPIO pins, basically hooked up to the 2 motors that are in there. So I can like control the wheels. I can make it drive, move around. And then I ultimately settled on the idea, if you've ever seen like those like Christmas lights that are synchronized to music, I was like, okay, that's like kind of external input. I can like have it respond to music or to voice, and it will like light up in response to that, and like maybe it'll like dance to it. So that ended up being my goal, and it like kind of does that. I don't know why this one LED is on right now, but I'll have it run here in a second, and you can kind of see what it does. The dancing I basically gave up on, so it just kind of like spins back and forth while lighting up. The lights are more interesting. So up and down here, and we'll see if it actually runs. So anyhow, there was a lot of different parts to this. I had to get a mic hooked up on there. There's a motor controller similar to what Jeremy was talking about. And this guy just hooked up to my phone's hotspot right now, and we'll see if anything happens here. Oh, there he's down. Yay. So I made this silly little animation here. And let's put some music on here. This is, my kids love K-pop Demon Hunters, so here we go. 2 of the 3 animations don't do anything in response to music, but there's a little equalizer thing here, so this kind of lights up in response. It's quiet, it's lower. I was trying to make this thing like flash at the beat. That part of the library is not functioning. Did not have a lot of time. I was going to put a little disco ball that would look like flash in the corner for the dancing guy, but this is basically all it does. This actually took a lot of work. So I'm happy it does anything at all.
So if it was a quiet room, it would like stop.
If we were, so the dancing just is very dumb. It does not care. I was thinking of ways to sync that up with the beat, but honestly just ran out of time and was like, I'm just gonna make it spin back and forth. So like I said, the one animation, the one with the bars is really the only thing right now. It's responding. And what that's actually doing is, so there's a fast Fourier transform. It gets like 150 or so different sort of frequency bins, and I just like picked 5 random ones in the middle and was like light up some amplitude in those. So that's what it's doing, but it's like mid-range, so most music will do something to it. And yeah, that's kind of it. So I'll turn it off and answer any questions you guys. There we go. All right. Yay, it worked. I'm very happy.
You got a question in the back, Matt?
Yes.
This is all very new stuff to me. What is like the level of entry of the closest thing you've done leading up to this to start?
Yeah. So I'll lead off and answer that. So in undergrad, I was a physics major in an electronics course. So like 20 years ago, I made a robot follow lines. That was as close as I got to this, and I honestly did not remember a lot. So, but that gave me confidence to be like, yeah, I know what I'm doing with robots. I can do that. So yeah, that was me. I don't know. I think Josh maybe had more experience.
So I'll come back to that question in a moment, but to shoot more experience a little further.
Yeah, yeah,
Once you gave up on the built-in motherboard and ROS,
yes.
did you find the rest to be an acceptable amount of approach?
Yeah, so the LED was a little bit of a challenge. So the existing libraries that were out there were really made for like earlier versions of the Raspberry Pi. So again, I was kind of using ChatGPT to cheat or thought so, but it kept kind of directing me to libraries that had not been updated to actually work with Pi 5. So I ended up having to find someone's Git repo for like Pi 5 Neo, I think it's called. And that actually works with the drivers on the Pi 5. But it's like very basic stuff. You have to like say exactly which LED you want to be what color. So I had fun kind of writing some functions to do bars and some of those animations. This is basically just like a 16 by 16 grid. So I just like ended up doing little pictures that were literally 16 by 16, coloring in like single pixels and made a little animation. But I would say it was not that hard. It's all Python, which I was pretty familiar with. So yeah, when I kind of gave up on the really complicated stuff, I could actually make it do something, which was nice.
So to get back to your question, my experience was, it's not something I help with robots professionally do for the most part. I did do line followers with each of my children last year. I don't know that a whole lot of bearing on doing it because they were really simple non-software-based robots. Yeah, but I do a little bit of experience controlling physical things with it. So now, I know that one of the people who couldn't be here tonight has some microcontroller experience, but I don't really have any actual robotics experience. And Jeremy, what would you say about your experience previously?
Yeah, sorry. I will for this, so I very good with that, not moving electronics. They're also small and delicate. It's like, second, it was really fun and I've always been interested in it. So there was a super high curiosity level
Now, one other person who couldn't be here when hard in on the ROS, I don't know if he was actually going to have the demo, but I know he had a system that was actually going around mapping things. I don't know what his professional background was, but I'm pretty sure it had something to do with embedded stuff. But he's also retired, so I think he had a lot more time than anyone else to put into it.
Excuses, excuses.
That's the only reason he's better than us.
Well, he also made it very clear that if he could be here, he was unwilling to stand in front of other people. So that wasn't going to happen. So yeah, I mean, so I think I was pretty down on my project earlier, but there was kind of two projects. One was, my failure here. The other one was getting people to come and do this. And I thought that went really well. I was really pleased that 6 people wanted to do it. Most people got stuff, especially since two other pieces of advice I had, which was like, hey, a Roomba's a great place to start, turned out to be outdated. Only if you buy a very old one is a great place to start. And a Furby might be a good place to start. Also turns out to be an absolute disaster if we try to modify it. So Furby's no go. So last year was video games, this year was social robots. We will kind of continue this next year, but I don't know if people can say what they want to do, and we'll see and talk about it at the end of the year. Yes, no more questions, Tony?
maybe some of the things, right?
So we talked about it here. We talked about it online. It was mentioned in our newsletter that gets emailed once a month, and I spent a lot of time going around to different places, not just Tech Lancaster, but like at CPOS, I was talking to people about it. Last year I did a presentation at CPOS about telling people that we're going to do this. I didn't actually do a presentation about it this time at CPOS, but I went to other meetup areas and was talking about it there. Although in the end, everyone who came from Tech Lancaster. So anyway, yeah, and Greg, you also had a question.
Yeah, I was just wanting to use a question related to that. Those of you who feel that your code is up to snuff, publish your
GitHub, GitLab, whatever you have available, so people can learn from your successes and your mistakes?
Well, I will certainly be doing a bit more of that at some point. I've had some of them already, but I probably need to take a couple weeks breaks before I pull up again. All right, if anyone has additional questions, you want one more?
No, we can finish up. Yeah.
Okay, is it Ryan?
Yeah. You guys talk about the soldering and connecting the motors and the sensors and all that. And I'm curious, like, how much do you have to worry about the voltage of the connector, connecting one side to the other, so you're not gonna like blow it out, and then you don't have a motor or a sensor or a
I mean, there's probably needs to be some care, but things are more resilient than they used to be in, say, the 80s. And a lot of the things are really cheap, so it would stink to blow a Raspberry Pi 5. If you blow a motor controller, I know people did that, but that was like a $2 loss.
like,
and I don't
like,
what?
but it's well documented, like, you know.
Yeah, I don't exactly know how they look at the motor controllers because I didn't dig into it. If they just connected something or shorted something. I don't think anybody was doing anything with any voltages over 12 volts, which certainly causes damage on a lower voltage thing, but it's not, it's like working with stuff that would hurt.
Right.
The other presenter was Dr. Frankenstein. It's different things entirely.
Anyway, if anyone has other questions, feel free to approach any of us. Yes.
We all use ChatGPT. How much does ChatGPT work similar AI? How much did it help? How much did it go off rails? How much did it waste time?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and answer that. So, yeah, I want to say it like led me astray a lot in terms of like the specifics of implementation, just because a lot of those libraries like weren't supported on this hardware. In terms of like the general concept, I thought it was pretty helpful. And for things that I like really like did not remember from electronics, I was like, oh, what do I do with that? What do I do? So I think it was helpful. I think I would have struggled to get to this point without it, but there was definitely some dead ends and wasted time from it. Yeah.
I would say that if you have some idea of where you want it to go, then it's easier to make sure it gets there. But if you're completely